TurboGrafx.
You are about to witness the future in video game entertainment. The TurboGrafx-16 Entertainment Super System.
The TurboGrafx-16, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated, if not the most underrated video game console of all time.
TurboGrafx-16, the next generation video game system with the performance and power to blow you away. TurboGrafx-16, turbo for speed, graphics for unbelievable graphics.
The TurboGrafx-16 lived in this weird in-between where it was between the NES and Super Nintendo and Mega Drive and Master System. It was kind of lived in between those. And so, you know, there's always debate, is it an 8-bit console? Is it more considered 16-bit console? Because, I mean, it is an 8-bit console. Even though it says TurboGrafx-16 in the name, but that's another conversation. But the TurboGrafx-16 had something that at least the Super Nintendo didn't have. And it was the first of its kind. And I'm talking about CD technology.
It's an interactive CD-ROM!
Interactive CD-ROMs. Now, the TurboGrafx-16, or the PC Engine in Japan, as it was called, had a CD add-on, alright? It was $3.99 in like 1989, which if you take $3.99 and like I think the TurboGrafx was like $150, add those together, you're looking at like $550 for a video game console in 1989? With inflation, that's way more than a PlayStation 5 Pro. I think that's almost $1,100, something around those lines. So, I mean, games have gotten a little cheaper. I know we're not comfortable saying that, but, you know, we're doing pretty good right now. But the TurboGrafx CD add-on was the first time ever, okay, I don't think people talk about this enough, the first time ever CDs carried video games on them. It predates them being on PC. The PC Engine CD was the first time any video games were on a CD. It wasn't pioneered on the PC. Most people think the PC's where, you know, the CDs came from. No, it was the TurboGrafx CD. And like the first ever CD video game was Street Fighter 1. And it wasn't even called Street Fighter 1. It was just called Fighting Street. And then there was also some like Japanese idol pop game or something. I don't know, I'll put it on screen.
では、壊れる。聞いてください。こんなになるなんて。
I didn't really know that much about the TurboGrafx CD because one, it's expensive, niche, it's really hard to get. And not too many people owned one, at least not in the United States. But over the years, especially since I got the Mister, which the Mister FPGA, you know, that's a real one. That's a real good one. You should get one. Ever since playing around with the TurboGrafx CD core on the Mister, I've kind of fallen in love with this thing. Because before, all I really knew about this console was Street Fighter 1 was on it. It was the only port of the first Street Fighter. And it had Castlevania Rondo of Blood on it, which is like my favorite Castlevania game. I have like 2-3 videos on this channel about Rondo of Blood, so that's a real one. For the most part, I thought the TurboGrafx really was just like the Hue card game. Like they had the cute little Hue cards. It looks like you could take a bite out of it, you know? They look like they might taste good. Of all the video game cartridges, I think the TurboGrafx ones probably taste the best. I'm just going on a limb on that one. And I'm talking about like Bonk, dude. I bet Bonk tastes real good. What makes the TurboGrafx CD so interesting is just seeing what they did with CD technology. And the Sega CD is pretty similar as well on a lot of those early 90s CD consoles. But it's interesting seeing what they used those CD capabilities for. And I think the best, in my opinion, the best CD game on the TurboGrafx is probably the Ys games, YS. Isu. If you look at it in Japanese, I guess we just got YS. That's what they decided we were gonna call it. So we got Ys. Ys Book 1 and 2, like, it's so cool. It's like probably one of my favorite like old school RPGs from the super early 80s and 90s. Oh man, Ys is so good. So you turn on Ys, all right? And like you compare it to anything, you got to think of like what you were getting on the NES at this time. You can even look at Ys on NES and be like, whoa, dude, this is next generation graphics. You get hit with that music, and it's like, bum, 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 bum. And it's just like, you just get hit with that music, and you're like, what the heck is this? And then they hit you with like that guitar solo, and you're like, what? And then once the cutscenes end, it's like, oh yeah, this is still an 8-bit console. Yeah, this is still an RPG. But then you go out to the field, and then you get that song. Man, Ys Book 1 and 2, fantastic games. I love Ys 1 and 2. If you can learn bump combat, if you can live with bump combat, I think you're gonna have a good time. I recommend Ys Book 1 and 2 to anyone. There's some garbage once you get to Dram Tower, and that final boss is kind of a chore. But, you know, for the most part, that's a real smokable one. But, you know, I've been feeling lately that I've been making videos that are too serious, and I wanted to make a video about something stupid. And I'm not calling the TurboGrafx-CD stupid, but I think we're gonna spend the rest of this video talking about just a dumb game on TurboGrafx-CD. And that is Last Alert on TurboGrafx-CD. Guy Kazama, man. Guy Kazama. There's not a better guy than Guy Kazama, okay? He's got to save the president. And there's only one guy who's going to be able to do that, and that's Guy freaking Kazama.
How could Lloyd's government betray us?
Yes, Mr. President. We're certain that Lloyd betrayed us. It seems that the Force Project is behind them. Their ability should not be underestimated. Yes, I have someone in mind. Let me handle this.
Is it over?
He's entrusted me with the task.
So you'll ask him then?
The only person who could possibly fight the Force Project is this man. Guy Kazama.
Even though he doesn't want to do anything ever, but he's pretty easily convinced to pretty much take on the world.
I thought I'd find you here.
I thought we'd always do things together, even when we die.
We've received a report that Lloyd and the Force Project jointly developed a stealth aircraft.
You're not expecting me to steal it.
That's what I want. Spartan has already infiltrated into Lloyd's frontline base, Blue Rhinos. He'll be your assistant on this mission.
Well, I owe Lloyd and the Force Project one, and I always make it a rule to get square with these guys.
So Last Alert is one of those TurboGrafx-CD games that, you know, it's got anime cutscenes, and I love the TurboGrafx anime cutscenes. There's just a vibe to them. But man, the voice acting's just real bad. Like Ys Book 1 and 2, like I wouldn't say it's got excellent voice acting, but like for what was going on at the time, like that's pretty darn good voice acting compared to what last alert is.
Information about a CIA dog, Guy Kazama, who assassinated a member of the Force Project, Colonel Kadat.
He intends to enter the martial arts tournament you host every year to kill you, Mr. Lee.
Really? Well, that's interesting.
So we plan to present you with 3 of the toughest fighters.
By the way, Dr. Garcia, how is the development of your ultimate weapon, Indra, coming along?
Yeah, it should be completed within a month.
Like, the funniest thing is, every time you get to a boss, you get, like, a really, really dumb one-liner.
Guy Kazama, if you don't want the hostage killed, you should keep quiet.
Guy, the stealth bomber is in the back of this factory.
Okay, Spartan, hang in there just a while longer.
Fool, Almond's already been taken away.
Well, then all I need to do is let you tell me where he is.
The president is an important guest for us too, you know. I can't let him go.
That makes me want to get him back even more.
I'll burn you to death with these flames. How do you want it done, rare or medium?
Sorry, I don't like roast pork.
Hey, Guy! Let my baby Betty throw you a kiss!
You're some weirdo naming your helicopter.
I guess those 3 were no match for you. Let me be your opponent now.
Mr. Lee, this tower's beginning to look like your tombstone.
Because, I mean, the gameplay, it's fun. It's nothing to write home about. I mean, I really liked the game, honestly. I was expecting to kind of just, like, crap on it, but I actually ended up having a pretty good time. I mean, it's basically the top-down levels from Super C, just into a whole game. And honestly, that it plays good enough. I mean, it's got this weird thing, though, where you, like, can lock your position by holding down the fire button, and you can, like, aiming's kind of weird, because the TurboGrafx has only 2 buttons, really. There is, like, a 4-button controller, but, you know, same with, like, the Genesis, not very many games use the controller with more buttons. and like, when you're playing the game, one of the funniest things is that you get, like, classes. There's, like, a leveling up system, and that's how you get more guns and more health. As you just kill people, you get XP. For some reason, this, like, Contra-like commando shooter game has XP, and you level up your class. And at first, they, like, seem pretty normal. Like, you get Ranger, Sharpshooter, and then, like, Sniper is kind of weird because you don't get a sniper rifle or anything, but then you, like, Corporal, Captain, you're like, okay. But then they, like, hit you with Tank Buster, and you're like, oh, my class is Tank Buster, and you're like, okay, and you get Metal Soldier, then you get Major General, and then you get General, and you're like, alright, these are kind of normal again, but then they slap you on the head with Full Armor Guy. Like, I didn't make that up. You're Full Armor Guy. Guy Kazama becomes the Full Armor Guy. And then you get Final Commando, one-man army, and this whole time I'm thinking, what is the final class? And it ends with Guy Kazama being a mother effing superhero. And the funny thing is, when you get superhero class, you unlock, like, the final weapon, and the final weapon is the worst gun in the game. Like, I want to show you, this is me fighting the final boss with the final weapon, and this is me fighting with the weapon one below it. And I'm pretty sure it's night and day. I just kill the guy real quick. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of a shorter video. I'm trying to get this one done and then pump out a Halloween video. So we'll see how that goes. But I kind of want to talk about TurboGrafx-CD for a second. And last alert, make something funny and weird and stupid. Because you know what? It's been a while. It's been a while. I was looking through my old videos and I was like, I made some really dumb crap. And I was like, maybe I want to make more dumb crap. I don't know. Subscribe if you want more dumb crap.
Guy, it's you, Guy!
This is Leonard. You're alive. I knew you could do it.
I said I couldn't trust anything you said, but it seems, for once, you were right.
Don't worry about that. Where are you?
I wonder. The signal's already been sent. I'm tired of sunbathing. Come and pick me up right away.